The sun had barely climbed over the rooftops of Hollow Creek High, but the air was already thick with chatter. Sneakers squeaking down the hallway, locker doors slamming, the usual noise of teenage life. No one noticed the quiet kid walking at the edge of it all. His name was Eli Brooks, 16 years old. Tall, but never towering. Smart, but never showy. Invisible, until someone needed a target. That morning, Eli's hoodie hung loose over his shoulders. His backpack weighed down more by textbooks than confidence. He walked through the crowd like a shadow, brushed aside, bumped into, ignored. Near the lockers, a group of varsity boys leaned against the wall. The leader, Dylan Chase, had that smirk. The kind that always preceded something cruel, disguised as a joke. "Yo, Brooks," Dylan called out. Eli froze halfway down the hall. Crowd looked up. Dylan tossed a crumpled flyer at him. "You forget to sign up for Nerd Club this year?" Laughter rippled around them. Eli's eyes dropped to the floor, his jaw tight but quiet. He bent down, picked up the flyer, and slipped it into his pocket. Same seat, same tray, same silence. He was halfway through his sandwich when Maya, the new girl, slid into the seat across from him. Her presence startled him so much he almost dropped his drink. "Hey," she said simply. Eli blinked. Hi." Maya smiled. "You don't talk much, do you?" Eli shrugged. "Not much to say," she grinned. "That's what people say before they start saying everything." For the first time in a long time, he almost smiled back. Maya wasn't like the others. She didn't flinch when Dylan and his crew passed their table. When one of them made a snide comment, she rolled her eyes and kept talking. But Eli knew better. He'd seen what happened to anyone who stood too close. So after lunch, when she waved goodbye, he said nothing, just nodded. She didn't seem to mind. After school, rain began to fall. Eli pulled up his hood and started the long walk home. The sound of tires splashing through puddles made him glance up. Dylan's truck, slowing beside him. Dylan leaned out the window. "Need a ride, Brooks?" Eli kept walking. "Hey, I'm being serious," Dylan said, feigning innocence. "Hop in, man. We're friends, right?" Eli stopped. The rain ran down his face like tears that wouldn't show. He turned his head just enough to meet Dylan's eyes. "We've never been friends." The smirk vanished. Dylan revved the engine, soaking Eli's jeans with muddy water as he sped off. But Eli didn't react. He just stood there, still, drenched, defiant. At home, the lights in the small apartment flickered. His mother worked nights at the hospital, so it was always just him and silence. He microwaved dinner, sat at the kitchen table, and opened his laptop. Not for social media. Not for games. For code. Lines of text filled the screen. Algorithms, firewalls, encryption. The kind of stuff most students wouldn't understand in a year. But to Eli, it was music. In code, there was no judgment. No laughter. Only logic. Predictable, fair, clean. Later that night, Maya texted him. He hesitated before opening it. "Maya, you okay? Dylan's an idiot. Don't let him get to you." "I'm fine." "You don't sound fine." The next day, something changed. Eli came to school early, earlier than anyone else. The halls were quiet, echoing only his footsteps. He stopped by the computer lab. Lights flickered on as the sensors detected movement. He sat down, logged in under an admin account, and began typing. Fast, focused. A quiet rhythm, keys clacking like a heartbeat. He wasn't hacking grades, or social accounts, or bank numbers. He was tracing something deeper. The digital fingerprints left by Dylan and his crew. Their private chat group, their hidden videos, their cruel jokes. He'd seen it all before. Now he had proof. By the time the first bell rang, he'd already copied everything onto a flash drive. He slipped it into his pocket just as the classroom filled. Dylan walked in late, laughing, tossing his bag onto the desk. His friends joined in. And then, silence. Because Maya had just walked up to Eli's desk. She looked at him, then at the bullies, and said softly, "You ready?" Eli met her eyes, for the first time. There was no hesitation, just quiet resolve. "Yeah. I'm done hiding." During first period, the intercom crackled to life. "Attention students. This is Principal Harris. We're experiencing a minor system glitch. Please remain in your classes." Dylan chuckled. Glitch? Someone probably forgot to log off again. But Eli just stared at his computer screen, a faint reflection of code still in his eyes. This wasn't a glitch. It was justice, quietly unfolding. At lunch, Maya found him sitting outside on the bleachers. "You really did it, didn't you?" she said softly. Eli didn't answer. She sat beside him, voice gentler now. "You know what happens next, right?" He nodded. "Yeah, and you're okay with that?" He looked at the gray sky above, clouds heavy with rain that hadn't fallen yet. Sometimes the truth has to break something before it can fix anything. In that moment, thunder rolled again in the distance, deep, promising, near, and as Maya watched him, she realized that the quiet boy wasn't invisible anymore. He wasn't broken. He was waiting for the world to see what silence had been building all along. The next morning, Hollow Creek High woke up to digital fire. Every student's phone buzzed with the same alert. A mysterious, shared link sent through group chats, text chains, and classroom Wi-Fi. No one knew who sent it. No one needed to. Because when they opened it, they saw everything. A video compilation played across every screen. Dylan Chase and his friends laughing in the locker room. Clips of them mocking other students, recording their pranks, their insults, their cruelty. Faces people recognized, voices that couldn't be denied. The cafeteria erupted with gasps and shouts. Phones were snatched, screens replayed, rumors exploded like wildfire. "Did you see this? Is that Dylan? Oh my God, they filmed that girl crying." By third period, the whole school knew, and by fourth, Eli Brooks's name was being whispered through the hallways. Maya found him sitting alone in the computer lab, the door half closed. He looked up only when she said his name. "You didn't send it, did you?" Eli shook his head slowly. "No, I uploaded the proof to a hidden drive. Someone must have found it." Maya exhaled. "Then it's out. You can't take it back now." Eli's voice was calm, too calm. "I didn't want to take it back." He turned toward the window, where rain streaked the glass like faint scars. They wanted attention. Now they have it. Down in the principal's office, chaos reigned. Parents were calling. Teachers argued. Dylan sat in a chair outside the door, face pale, phone in hand. His friends had already been called in. One of them was crying. Another had tried to blame someone else. Principal Harris opened the door. Dylan Chase, inside. The room smelled of tension and cold coffee. Across the table sat the principal, the guidance counselor, and a police officer from the town precinct. "We've seen the footage," Harris said quietly. "It's not just jokes. It's harassment, bullying. Some of these videos are months old." Dylan leaned forward, voice shaking with forced bravado. "It wasn't all me. Everyone does this kind of stuff. But they didn't get caught, the officer said. You did. For the first time, Dylan had no comeback. Upstairs, the hallways were divided. Half the students defending him, half demanding punishment. Some called Eli a hero. Others called him a rat. At his locker, he overheard it all. Dude's a legend. Or a snitch. Whatever he is, he just ended the golden boy. Eli closed his locker quietly and kept walking. He wasn't interested in revenge. He was interested in truth. But the truth, he realized, wasn't clean. It never was. Maya caught up with him after class, grabbing his arm gently. They're saying you hacked into Dylan's files. He didn't stop walking. Let them. You didn't, right? He looked at her, eyes sharp, but tired. I found what was already there. They hid it in plain sight, a private chat room called Hollow Laughs. They thought no one would notice. But now they do, Maya whispered. He nodded. Now they do. That night social media was on fire. Local news picked up the story. Parents argued in comment sections. Students flooded forums with screenshots. And somewhere between all the noise, Eli's face appeared. A blurry photo someone had taken in class, now plastered under a headline. Teen hacker exposes bullying scandal. He stared at the post in his dim apartment, the blue light flickering across his face. His mother called from work during her short break. Eli, honey, what's going on? They're saying your name on the news. It's fine, Mom, he said softly. It's finally fine. You didn't do anything wrong, did you? He hesitated, eyes on the code scrolling across his screen. I told the truth, that's all. The next day at school, silence replaced laughter. Posters of integrity and respect suddenly hung on the walls like apologies too late to matter. Teachers tried to pretend nothing had changed. But everyone felt it. The shift, the tension, the guilt. In the cafeteria, Dylan's table was empty. He hadn't shown up. Rumors said he'd been suspended indefinitely. When Maya sat across from Eli, she noticed the way people watched him. Admiration from some, resentment from others. You know, she said, you could have kept quiet. Most people would have. Eli took a sip of water, calm as ever. That's the problem. Too many people keep quiet. A full F. Later that afternoon, Principal Harris called him in. The blinds were drawn, the office dim. Eli, I need to ask you something. The principal began carefully. Did you distribute those files? No, sir, but I made sure they couldn't be deleted. You understand how serious this is, don't you? You understand that? Eli nodded. So is letting people like Dylan walk away with it. PG, the principal sighed deeply, removing his glasses. You've caused a storm, son. Eli looked him straight in the eye. No, sir. I just showed the weather that was already here. PG. That night, the storm outside matched the one online. Hashtag Hollow Creek trended on every platform. Students from other schools commented. Some shared their own stories. It wasn't just about one boy anymore. It was about every kid who'd ever been humiliated for being different. Every voice that had gone unheard. Maya texted him, "You started something bigger than you think." He replied after a long pause, "And maybe it's about time." The next morning, the parking lot buzzed with TV vans and microphones. Reporters swarmed students, teachers, anyone willing to speak. Cameras turned the front steps into a stage. Eli stood at the edge of it all, hands in his pockets, hoodie pulled low. He didn't need to say anything. He just watched the story unfold. His story. Their story. the one that refused to stay hidden anymore. But as the day ended, a chill ran through him. On his locker door, someone had taped a note written in jagged black ink. "You should have kept your mouth shut." Maya found him staring at it. "Eli, are you okay?" He crumpled the note in his hand, voice steady but low. "I think the truth just made its enemies." As the final bell rang and students filed out into the storm, Eli's reflection lingered in the glass window, half in shadow, half in light. The boy they once ignored was now the name everyone knew. But fame wasn't victory, and silence, once his armor, had now become his target. By Monday morning, Hollow Creek High no longer felt like a school. It felt like a courtroom. Every hallway buzzed with opinions, accusations, and half-truths, echoing off the lockers like 1,000 quiet verdicts. Eli Brooks walked through the noise as if he couldn't hear it, head down, hands deep in his hoodie pockets, the rhythm of whispers following him like a ghost. "Did you hear he hacked the school network? My mom said the police are watching him. He's not a hero, he's a hacker." No one said it to his face. They didn't have to. In homeroom, Mr. Garner took attendance without looking up. Every student's eyes darted toward Eli. Even the teachers didn't know how to treat him now. When the bell rang, Maya caught up to him in the hallway. Her voice was gentle, but her eyes betrayed worry. "Slash, you shouldn't walk alone anymore." "I've been walking alone for years," he replied. "That was before half the town decided they hate you." Eli stopped by his locker. The crumpled note from last week was gone, but he could still feel its weight in his mind. "They don't hate me," he said quietly. "They hate what I showed them." Sometimes people don't want the truth. They want someone to blame for finding it. Outside the school, news crews still camped near the gates. Camera flashes caught faces of students as they walked in. When Eli passed, microphones stretched toward him like weapons. "Eli, did you leak the files yourself? Are you worried about facing charges? Do you regret exposing your classmates?" He said nothing. Maya stepped between him and the crowd, glaring. "Back off." One reporter smirked. "Are you his spokesperson?" "No," she shot back. "Just someone who's not afraid of the truth." By lunchtime, the school was split clean down the middle. Half the students now followed Eli's story like fans of a rebellion. Kids who'd been bullied, humiliated, ignored. The other half saw him as a traitor, a troublemaker who'd ruined everything for everyone else. Posters started appearing. "Justice for Dylan. Privacy matters. No more leaks." Eli tore one down and read the fine print, a petition demanding his expulsion. 100 signatures already. Maya grabbed the poster from his hand. "Don't look at it. They want a reaction." Eli's voice was low, calm, but his eyes burned. "They'll get one, just not the kind they expect." That evening, he went home to find 2 police cruisers parked outside his apartment building. His stomach dropped. Inside, his mother sat at the table, pale, wringing her hands. 2 officers stood nearby, polite but firm. "Mr. Brooks, we'd like to ask a few questions," one said. "We received a complaint about unauthorized access to student devices." Eli blinked. "That's not true. I didn't." "We understand," the officer interrupted. "But the investigation requires us to review your laptop." His mother's voice trembled. "He didn't do anything wrong. He's a good boy." The officer nodded. "We just need to confirm that, ma'am." Eli looked down at the laptop on the counter, the same one he'd used to gather the proof. He didn't move. "Sir," the officer said, "if you cooperate, this will go easier." Eli slowly handed it over. "Be careful with it," he said quietly. "There's truth inside that machine." When the door closed behind them, His mother turned to him, tears in her eyes. "Eli, what's happening to us?" He didn't answer. He couldn't. He just looked out the window at the flashing red and blue lights fading into the rain. The next morning, the whispers turned into laughter again. But not at Dylan this time. At Eli. Someone had posted a new thread on the school forum. Screenshots of Eli's old coding projects, doctored messages, even fake confessions. A new rumor spread like wildfire. Eli hacked the school to ruin Dylan's life. The same crowd that once cheered his courage now laughed behind his back. Maya found him sitting on the back steps, headphones in, music loud enough to drown out the noise. "You saw it, didn't you?" she asked. He nodded. "They made me the villain. You can't let them twist it." "They already have," he said, "but I'll fix it my way." Meanwhile, in a quiet office downtown, a man named Officer Grant, a digital crimes investigator, reviewed the data from Eli's laptop. He frowned. "This doesn't look like a hack. These are screenshots, not system breaches. Whoever did this, they were smart, careful. This was exposure, not intrusion." His partner looked over his shoulder. "So he's clean?" Grant shrugged. "Clean enough, but that doesn't mean someone isn't trying to dirty him up." That night, Eli received an anonymous message. No name, no number, just a single line. "You think the truth makes you safe. Think again." Attached was a photo of his mother leaving work, taken from across the street. He stared at it for a long time, then calmly powered off his phone. He knew what this was. Fear. Intimidation. And it only worked if he let it. At school the next day, the principal made an announcement. Due to ongoing investigations, all student internet access will be suspended temporarily. Anyone found sharing private content will face disciplinary action. The cafeteria went quiet. Students glanced toward Eli. He didn't react. Maya whispered, "They're trying to isolate you." Eli smirked slightly. "Then they've forgotten something." "What?" He leaned closer. "You can't silence someone who never needed a microphone." That night, the local news aired an interview with Dylan's parents. Tears, anger, and accusation. They blamed Eli for ruining their son's life. They called him a hacker, a manipulator. Eli sat in the dark, the TV glow flickering across his face. His mother sat beside him, quiet. "You should fight back," she said softly. He turned to her, his voice calm but fierce. "I already am." He opened his laptop, not the same one the police took, but another. A backup. On the screen, a folder opened. Project Echo. A digital trace of every fake account spreading lies about him. Every IP. Every timestamp. Maya's voice echoed in his mind. They want someone to blame for finding the truth. Fine. He fought. Then they'll find it again. By morning, the fake posts started vanishing one by one. The school's gossip network went silent. Phones buzzed with notifications. Content removed for violation. Someone was fighting back. And in a small apartment, under the glow of a single lamp, Eli Brooks whispered to himself, "If they wanted a villain, I'll show them what one looks like when he's right." By Wednesday morning, Hollow Creek High was in lockdown mode, digitally, not physically. All Wi-Fi signals were restricted, firewalls rebuilt, social media blocked on campus. But the damage was already done. The truth had gone too far to cage. Eli Brooks sat alone in the library, his hoodie pulled low, fingers moving quietly across a borrowed Chromebook. The screen glowed faintly against the darkened corner where he always worked, his invisible fortress. He wasn't hacking for revenge this time. He was tracing. Someone had weaponized lies to destroy him, and he intended to unmask them. Across town, in a corner office of the Hollow Creek Gazette, a story was being written under the headline, "The Teen Who Divided a Town." The editor, Mr. Dalton, leaned over the journalist's shoulder. "Run it by 6, he said. "Make sure to include quotes from Dylan's parents." The reporter hesitated, and Eli sighed. Dalton sighed. "The boy won't talk. Silence makes better headlines than apologies." And just like that, the narrative tightened its noose. That afternoon, Maya found Eli behind the gym bleachers, laptop open, rain dripping through the cracks above. "You've been quiet," she said softly. He didn't look up, listening. To what? He turned the laptop toward her. Lines of IP traces scrolled across the screen. Whoever posted those fake screenshots, they used a VPN routed through Town Hall servers. Maya blinked. "Town Hall? You mean someone in power?" Eli finished. "And whoever it is, they're scared of what I know." Maya's eyes widened. "That's why they're framing you." Eli nodded. "They can't stop the truth, so they're trying to rewrite it." At City Hall, behind closed doors, Mayor Ruth Allen spoke in hushed tones with Superintendent Cole. Their expressions were tight, controlled. "The town's tearing itself apart over this boy," the mayor said. "If this keeps up, our funding's in danger." Cole exhaled. "We can't control social media, Ruth." "Maybe not," she replied, "but we can control what the public sees. Get me a statement ready. Something about misinformation, student privacy. Make him sound unstable." Cole frowned. That could ruin his life. Ruth looked him dead in the eye. "So can the truth." That evening, the Gazette published its story online. It painted Eli as obsessive, dangerous, a troubled genius seeking attention. By nightfall, the school's parent chat groups were buzzing again. Maya texted him the headline. "Maya, they're dragging your name through the mud." Eli, "Good, that means they're running out of options." Maya, "Eli, this isn't a game." Eli, "Neither is silence." The next day, the superintendent held a press conference. The auditorium filled with teachers, parents, and cameras. Cole stepped up to the microphone, clearing his throat. "We're conducting a full investigation into the recent leaks. We urge everyone to remain calm and trust the system." In the back row, Eli and Maya watched. She whispered, "You think he's in on it?" Eli's jaw tightened. He's reading a script. And he was right, because every word Cole spoke had been written in the mayor's office that morning. When the press conference ended, Eli approached the stage. Cole froze when he saw him. "Mr. Brooks, now's not the time." "When is the right time to tell the truth?" Eli interrupted. His voice was calm, but the auditorium quieted instantly. "This isn't the place." "It's the perfect place," Eli said. "You're talking about truth, but you're standing on lies." Maya grabbed his arm. "Eli, stop." But he kept going. "You talk about trust. So here's a reason not to." He opened his laptop. The projector behind him flickered to life. Code, timestamps, and server logs filling the screen. The audience gasped as the words townhall.gov, access, unauthorized media upload appeared. Cole's face drained of color. Reporters raised their cameras. The principal shouted, "Turn that off." But it was too late. Security escorted Eli out of the building within minutes. Maya followed, heart pounding. "Eli, what were you thinking?" she asked. "They wanted silence. I gave them noise," he replied. She shook her head. "You just painted a target on your back." He gave a faint smile. "Good, easier for them to aim, harder to miss the truth." Our insight. The town divided again. Half outraged, half inspired. Comments flooded every platform. Why are the mayor's servers linked to this? The mayor's office released a statement denying any wrongdoing. But the questions didn't stop, and someone in the shadows began to panic. Then, at midnight, Eli sat at his desk, his second laptop open. Lines of code streamed across the screen. He wasn't attacking anymore. He was securing. Every file, every message, every trace of what he'd uncovered was backed up in multiple clouds. Mirrored, encrypted, safe. Then his screen flashed. Incoming message. Unknown user. He opened it. You've made powerful enemies. If you want to survive, meet me at the old library tomorrow night, alone. Maya texted seconds later. Be careful. It could be a trap. Eli typed back. Every truth starts with a trap. The next evening, he stood in front of the old Hollow Creek library, boarded up and forgotten, streetlights flickering against cracked stone walls. Rain misted the air. A figure stepped out of the shadows. It wasn't who he expected. Officer Grant, Eli said quietly. The digital crimes investigator nodded. You're smarter than they know, kid. But they're not done. The mayor's cleaning house. Anyone who helped you is next. Eli's heartbeat steadied. Then I guess it's time I stopped playing defense. Grant handed him a folder. Inside, documents, photos, encrypted chat logs. You didn't find the whole story, Grant said. But now you can. Eli looked up. Why are you helping me? Because I've seen what they do to people who tell the truth, Grant replied. And you remind me of one of them. As thunder rolled across the sky, Eli realized he was no longer fighting a school rumor or a handful of bullies. He was fighting the entire system that had protected them. And for the first time, he wasn't scared. He was ready. He turned to the rain-drenched street and whispered to himself, if truth is a war, then I'm done being the casualty. The next day dawned, gray and restless. A light drizzle misted across Hollow Creek, coating the streets in a nervous shine. By now, almost everyone in town had seen the footage from the auditorium. Eli confronting the superintendent, the mayor's server logs flashing behind him like digital lightning. Some called him brave, others called him dangerous. But to Eli Brooks, none of it mattered anymore. He'd pulled back the curtain, and now there was no going back. At school, the halls buzzed with tension. Students whispered when he passed. Teachers fell silent. A few offered half smiles of support. Most avoided eye contact altogether. Maya met him by the stairwell, rainwater dripping from her umbrella. They canceled the debate club meeting, she said quietly. They said it was to prevent further unrest. Eli adjusted the strap of his backpack, expression unreadable. Unrest only happens when people realize they've been too quiet. She sighed. Eli, you're starting to sound like you don't care what happens to you. He finally looked at her. I don't. I care what happens after. That afternoon, Officer Grant sent him a coded message. Grant, the mayor's office is hosting a town broadcast tonight. They'll deny everything. Be ready. Eli's reply was simple. Eli, I already am. He turned his living room into a war room. 2 laptops, 1 cracked tablet, wires snaking across the coffee table. His mother peeked out from the kitchen, worry etched deep in her face. You're not doing anything illegal, right? No, he said softly, eyes never leaving the screens. Just making sure the truth doesn't disappear. By 7 p.m., the town gathered in the community auditorium. Cameras were set, microphones checked, and the mayor stood poised under the harsh glow of stage lights. She spoke with practiced calm. The recent online rumors are the result of misinformation spread by a misguided student. We value truth and integrity here in Hollow Creek. Applause trickled through the crowd. Reporters scribbled notes, and somewhere backstage, an Ethernet cable hummed to life. Eli watched from a dark corner near the maintenance door, laptop balanced on his knees. The projector screen behind the mayor flickered. The audio glitched. A hush rippled through the crowd. Suddenly, the live feed changed. The screen lit up, not with her speech, but with video clips, documents, emails. City Hall memos, budget transfers, messages proving that the mayor had funded a secret PR group to fabricate posts and discredit students. Her voice cracked mid-sentence. Turn that off, but the tech team couldn't. Eli had mirrored the signal through multiple networks. Every attempt to cut the feed only made the evidence replay again. In the back row, Officer Grant stood guard, pretending to check his phone while quietly recording every second. Maya watched from the crowd, heart pounding, knowing exactly whose fingerprints were behind the code. Unprecedented, security guards rushed toward the maintenance hall. Eli closed his laptop, unplugged the cable, and slipped out the side exit before they arrived. Rain hammered the pavement outside, neon reflections blurring in puddles. His phone buzzed. Maya. They're blaming you again. You have to hide. Eli. I didn't do this to hide. Maya. Then what? To make sure they can't. He shoved the phone in his pocket and disappeared into the storm. Inside the auditorium, the mayor slammed her hands on the podium. This is sabotage, a cyber attack. Arrest that boy, he's a menace. Mayor Allen, with all due respect, those files came from your office. We verified the signatures ourselves. The room froze. The cameras kept rolling. The truth, once buried, was now live on every local channel. Hours later, the broadcast dominated every screen in town. Hollow Creek Truth trended online. People who once doubted Eli now demanded justice. But for every supporter, there was a threat. For every message of praise, a shadow in his inbox. Maya found him the next morning at the train station cafe, sitting by the window with a cup of untouched coffee. She slid into the seat across from him. You did it, she whispered. No, he said. We did it, but it's not over. The mayor's finished, Eli. He shook his head. Someone helped her. Someone bigger. The posts came from more than one source. This goes beyond Hollow Creek. Officer Grant appeared moments later, trench coat damp from the rain. He dropped the folder on the table. You were right, he said. There's a federal trail, contracts with a PR agency, shell companies, fake accounts stretching across multiple towns. They've been silencing whistleblowers for years. Maya blinked. All this from one school scandal. Grant nodded. Every lie starts small. You just happened to pull the first thread. He looked at Eli. You've got choices, kid. Walk away and start fresh, or help us finish this. Eli stared at the rain streaking down the glass. Outside, the world looked washed clean, but he knew the dirt always settled again. If the truth's a war, he murmured, I'm staying on the front line. Period. Bold, white noise. In the star background, Eli sat on the hood of an old car, parked near the hill overlooking Hollow Creek. Below, the courthouse lights glowed like fragile stars. Period. Maya joined him, wrapping her jacket tighter. Period. What happens now? He smiled faintly. Now the system gets to meet someone who isn't afraid to look it in the eye. Period. A streak of lightning flashed behind the clouds. The storm wasn't gone, just waiting. And so was he. Period. In a dim office across town, Mayor Allen sat alone, watching the replay of her downfall. Her phone buzzed with a single message from an unknown number. Period. You failed. He knows too much. She swallowed hard, the color draining from her face. Meanwhile, in his apartment, Eli opened a new folder on his computer. Operation Truthwave. File 1. Town Hall. Corruption confirmed. File 2. Next target. Regional Communications Director. His reflection in the screen was calm, focused, unstoppable. You wanted silence, he whispered. Now you'll hear everything. The rain had turned into thunder by morning. Hollow Creek, once a quiet town, now lived under a constant hum of flashing lights and camera crews. Every street corner buzzed with reporters and officers. The story had broken past the local news. It was national now. Eli Brooks's face appeared on television screens across the country, next to words that made even him uneasy. Teen whistleblower exposes town-wide corruption. Some called him a hero. Others called him a hacker. But all of them said his name. Inside his small apartment, the noise from the TV blended with the sound of rain against the window. His mother sat beside him, exhausted but proud. She hadn't said much the last few days. Finally, she broke the silence. They're talking about taking you to Washington. Eli didn't look away from the screen. They can talk. Doesn't mean I'm going. Eli, she began softly, this isn't just about Hollow Creek anymore. He turned toward her, eyes sharp. That's the problem. It was supposed to be. Across town, Mayor Allen was escorted from her office in handcuffs. Cameras flashed. She tried to keep her chin high, but the fear in her eyes betrayed her. When asked for comment, she said only one thing. He doesn't know what he started. Her words hit the airwaves like gasoline. Because she was right. Eli had started something far bigger than he understood. That night, Officer Grant returned to Eli's apartment with a man Eli didn't recognize. Tall, well-dressed, calm, with a badge that didn't belong to the local department. Mr. Brooks, the man said, extending his hand. I'm Agent Rains with the Federal Bureau of Investigations. We'd like your help. Eli didn't shake his hand. Help with what? Rains glanced at Grant, then back to Eli. You uncovered more than you realize. Those fake networks, they weren't just about Hollow Creek. They're part of a data manipulation campaign targeting small towns across the state. Someone's funding it. And your discovery just pulled the first thread. Eli frowned. So this isn't just corruption. It's control. Grant nodded. Exactly. Rains set a folder on the table. Inside were pages of coded messages, bank transfers, shell companies, all linked to an entity labeled only as Vanguard Syndicate. They've buried themselves deep, Rains said. We've been trying to expose them for years. Your evidence gave us a way in. So you want me to help you hack them? Eli asked flatly. We want you to help us find them, Rains replied. Legally. Eli smirked. Nothing about the truth is ever legal. Maya arrived later that night, breathless from the storm. When she saw the agent's car parked outside, she froze. You're working with the FBI now? She asked. Eli shrugged. Working with isn't the same as trusting. Eli, this is dangerous. You saw what they did to you. What if this goes higher? He turned his laptop toward her. The screen showed an encrypted map, red lines connecting dozens of small towns like Hollow Creek. It already does. Maya stared, her voice barely a whisper. PB. How far up? Far enough that even the truth needs permission to breathe. Days passed in a blur of investigation, interviews, and sleepless nights. Eli worked quietly from a federal lab, surrounded by agents who treated him like both an asset and a liability. He wasn't allowed to touch certain files, wasn't allowed to go home without an escort. But what they didn't know was that Eli had already mirrored every database they gave him. Every locked file, every classified folder, copied, encrypted, and stored somewhere they couldn't reach. He wasn't doing it for himself. He was doing it in case the truth got buried again. One night, long after the agents had gone home, Eli noticed something strange, a live data feed pulsing through a hidden server. When he traced it, his blood ran cold. The signal wasn't from Hollow Creek. It was coming from inside the bureau itself. Someone on the inside was feeding information to the same people they were investigating. E-Steps. He called Grant immediately. "You have a leak in your house," he said. Grant sounded half asleep. "What do you mean?" "Someone in your department is sending data to the syndicate. I just traced the ping." Grant cursed under his breath. "Eli, shut down whatever you're doing. Now, you're not safe." "It's too late," Eli said quietly. "They already know. I found it." The line went dead. At that same moment, the lights in the lab flickered. The power dipped, computers rebooting. Then, crash. The front doors slammed open. Armed men in tactical gear stormed in. No badges, no warnings. Eli dove behind a desk as gunfire shattered the glass. He sprinted toward the emergency exit, rain slashing across his face as he burst into the alley behind the building. Headlights flared. Tires screeched. A black SUV blocked his path. A voice shouted from behind the tinted window, "Get in, now." He hesitated, then saw Maya inside, terrified but safe. He jumped in. The SUV sped off into the storm. "Who are they?" Maya gasped. "Not cops," Eli said. "Not anyone who wants the truth out." Grant's voice crackled through the car's speaker. He'd patched through a securant line. "You're both compromised. The syndicate's coming for you. Go dark. No phones, no signals. I'll find you." The line cut again. Eli leaned back in his seat, soaked and shaking. Maya turned toward him. "Eli, what do we do now?" He looked out the window, where lightning lit up the dark road ahead. "Now," he said softly, "we stop running. We start fighting." The SUV disappeared into the storm, taillights vanishing like embers. Behind them, the lab burned, the smell of smoke and rain blending in the night. And somewhere far away, a voice over a secure channel whispered, "The boy knows too much. Find him before he finds us." The storm had not stopped. It only grew sharper, heavier, like the world itself was warning them to turn back. But Eli Brooks had never been the kind to listen to warnings. The SUV sped through winding mountain roads outside Hollow Creek, headlights slicing through the mist. Maya sat beside him, her face pale in the flickering glow of the dashboard. Neither spoke for miles. Finally, she broke the silence. "They burned the lab, Eli. They killed your trail." He stared out the window at the endless forest beyond. "Then we make a new one." "You really think you can take down a network like that, alone?" He turned to her, voice steady. "I'm not alone anymore." They reached an abandoned radio station just before dawn. Rusted towers, shattered windows, and an old broadcast room that still hummed faintly with forgotten power. It was the perfect ghost, no signal, no eyes. Eli connected his laptop to the dusty console, sparks flickering from the ancient wires. A map appeared on the screen, dozens of red nodes blinking across states, each one a signal from the Vanguard Syndicate's secret servers. "This is it," Maya whispered. "You're going after all of them." He nodded. "I'm not leaking files this time. I'm giving people the whole system, their lies, their funding, their faces, all of it." That's suicide, she said. No, he murmured. That's justice. Meanwhile, deep in a sleek glass tower, far from Hollow Creek, a group of executives gathered around a massive table. At the head sat Evelyn Chase, a name that once meant philanthropy and progress. Now, her calm voice carried the cold precision of command. The Brooks boy has become a national problem, she said. He's spreading faster than we can silence. Shut down his network. A technician shook his head. We've tried. Every file he releases multiplies through mirrors. It's self-replicating. Evelyn leaned forward. Then we cut the source. A photo of Eli flashed on the holographic display. Hood up, eyes sharp, expression unreadable. Find him, she ordered, and erase him. Back at the radio station, Eli worked like a machine. Lines of code flew across the screen. Wires sparked under his fingers. Every keystroke was a countdown. Maya handed him a coffee, though her hands trembled. Once you hit upload, they'll trace it. I know. And then what? He looked at her, eyes calm, resolute. Then I stop hiding. At exactly 3:07 a.m., the lights in the station flickered as Eli's broadcast went live. Across the country, televisions, computers, and phones glitched for a split second, then streamed the same feed. Eli Brooks appeared on screen, sitting before a cracked microphone, rain thundering behind him. My name is Eli Brooks, he began, his voice echoing through millions of speakers. You've been lied to, for years, by people who said they were protecting you. Screens displayed documents, chat logs, and security footage. The syndicate funding school campaigns, influencing town elections, framing whistleblowers. They call it control, Eli continued. I call it fear. But fear only works when we stay quiet. I stayed quiet my whole life. Not anymore. Far away, in her tower, Evelyn watched in disbelief as her systems failed one by one. Her technicians scrambled. He's not in the grid, one shouted. He's broadcasting through analog radio frequencies. Something we can't intercept. Evelyn slammed her hand against the table. Then, destroy the tower manually. But by the time her orders reached the ground team, the storm had already swallowed the roads. In the radio station, power alarms beeped. The old generator was dying. Maya stood near the door, watching flashes of lightning tear through the valley below. Eli, she said, they'll come for us. He smiled faintly. Then they'll have to find the signal first. He inserted a small silver drive into the console, a failsafe connected to cloud mirrors worldwide. Once uploaded, nothing could stop the spread. You ready? He asked. Maya took a deep breath. With you? Always. Suddenly, a low rumble grew outside. Engines. Black SUVs emerged through the rain, headlights slicing through the fog. Maya's eyes widened. They're here. Eli hit the final key, a soft beep. Upload would never be the same. Gunfire shattered the silence as the door burst open. Masked agents stormed in. Hands up, step away from the console. Eli raised his hands slowly, calm, even in the chaos. You're too late, he said. Evelyn's voice barked through their comms, desperate. Shut it down. Kill the broadcast. But there was nothing left to kill. The truth was already alive. Maya was dragged outside, screaming his name. Eli stood still as the agents surrounded him. One of them hesitated, gun trembling. Kid, what did you do? Eli smiled faintly. I gave you your freedom back. Lightning cracked above, flooding the world in white. By dawn, the syndicate's secrets flooded every corner of the internet. Major networks broadcast the data live. The world woke to corruption it could no longer ignore. Arrests followed. Evelyn Chase was taken into custody before noon. Dozens of officials resigned overnight. And Hollow Creek, the town where it all began, was finally quiet. Weeks later, Maya stood at the rebuilt radio station, a small memorial plaque glinting in the sunlight. It read simply, Eli Brooks, the voice that broke the silence. A soft breeze brushed through the trees. She looked up, eyes glistening. You did it, Eli, she whispered. You really did. Somewhere far away, a signal blinked on a dusty server. Eli's encrypted voice, pre-recorded, hidden in the data. If you're hearing this, his voice said, it means the world finally knows the truth. Don't waste it. Speak louder than I ever did. Fade out. Rain gives way to sunlight. Silence turns to applause. The truth finally breathes free. Sometimes one voice is enough to shake the world. Don't be afraid to speak your truth, no matter who tries to silence you. If you felt Eli's story, like, comment, and share it, because someone out there needs to hear it tonight. End.